So I'm Barbara Fingleton. I'm an associate professor in the cancer biology program in the Department of Pharmacology and a secondary appointment in Department of Surgery. So the focus of my research is cancer metastasis. I'm in a cancer biology lab, but metastasis is the one part of cancer that we're really interested in because that's what kills people. Even after 30, 40 years of a war on cancer, the death rate is exactly the same for people who have metastatic disease, and it's because we really don't understand everything about it. So I'm trying to work on ways to diagnose it and, of course, treat it. I work on breast cancer and colon cancer mainly, but I work on most solid cancers have very similar pathways for metastasis. So a lot of what we do we think will apply to most solid cancers. We just pick to really kind of help our research be framed a little bit. So we work with cell culture, so cancer cells growing in a dish or growing as organoids. We also work with mouse models quite a lot. And then when we can, we work with specimens from the clinic to see that the things that we find in our cell culture models actually really happen in people. A couple of my family were medical doctors, and I thought that's what I was interested in. And then I realized that what I was really interested in was trying to figure out why things go wrong. Not really treating one person at a time, but trying to figure out why things go wrong. So many unanswered questions in cancer research because cancer is a disease that has every aspect of biology can be dysregulated. You can't decide that you want to only work on immunology or you only want to work on development or any of those things. They're all involved in cancer, and so it's a good investigative question, but more importantly, it's also something that can actually impact the lives of people. So basic science, I think, it underlines everything and is important for all research in every aspect of disease. You can't just study the disease, you have to understand why the disease happens, what made that diseased cell go wrong, and you can only know when something is wrong when you know what normally does, what is right. So we have to really understand every aspect of biology, and biology encompasses so much from why zebrafish might have two heads or why worms can turn off certain genes. All those things have actually helped us in cancer biology. So every aspect of biology, of basic research, really helps us get to an answer for something that will ultimately help people. Well, funding is probably the single most critical factor for all of us doing research. Nothing can be done without money. My lab gets money from multiple sources, from the government, who are the biggest funder of research in the US. We get it from the Department of Defense. We get it from the National Cancer Institute. We've got money from various foundations, including the Susan G. Komen Foundation in Breast Cancer Research. I've got money from within Vanderbilt, trying to support getting things started, new questions. But everywhere we can, we look for any place that we can get money because we need it to pay the people, we need it to pay for the supplies, we need it for everything that we do, even to publish the papers and let people know what we've done. I would say there are two different types of success stories. One is in the research. So while we have not yet got as far as a clinical trial, we identified a new target, and we are working with a pharmaceutical company to develop a drug that we think will eventually go to a clinical trial. So we think that we may have some hope for people with metastatic cancer if we can target this particular protein called IL4. On the other hand, the other big success story, and probably the one that I think is most rewarding immediately, is in terms of training students. I've had 4 or 5 people graduate from the lab so far, and it's wonderful just to see what they do. You can see them growing from the day they walk in the door, and the day they walk out the door, they're a fully minted researcher, and it's wonderful. So I come from Dublin, Ireland. It's a little bit far from Nashville, Tennessee. However, Vanderbilt has a reputation that made it as far as Dublin, and what brought me here was being able to come to work with a person who was a world leader in the area that I was interested in. So it was the high caliber of research really is what brought me here in the first place. And then once I got here and realized how great an institution it is, how collaborative it is, how much I could do. I work with engineers, I work with chemists, I work with the imaging people, I work with physicians, I'm in the Department of Surgery. It's amazing things that I can just so easily do, which I've heard from some of my peers in other places, they just find it so much more difficult to do. In fact, I have people ask me if I can do it here because they can't do it at their own institution. I was thinking about what would be the type of advice I would give new people in the field of cancer biology or cancer research. And I think there's three. One is a very academic thing, and that is to read widely. And it's because cancer is a disease of so many different causes and so many different things that contribute to it that you really need to understand immunology, cell biology, all these other fields. So reading widely. The second thing I would advise people to do is get involved with the professional associations. Networking is how you will find out new ways to do things, how you'll get invited to things, how you'll know what's going on. It's really valuable for your career. And then the third thing I would say in cancer research is to get involved with advocacy and work with patients. They are so passionate, they are so knowledgeable, and they can help you realize what will be the most impactful thing you can do. My academic background is from starting in Dublin, Ireland, where I did a bachelor's in science. So in Ireland, it's a little bit different than here in the States, where when you leave secondary school or high school, you go directly into the field of study that you're interested in. It's not you don't wait 2 years to pick a major or anything like that. So I did biotechnology. So I'm actually half trained as an engineer, and all the people in my class went to Guinness. Except for me, I got interested in the cell culture part and then did a PhD in cancer biology in Dublin. And then came here to Nashville, actually, for a PhD, or postdoc, to work with Lynn Matrisian, who was a world leader in the area of metalloprotease biology, which was what I was interested in at the time.